Good morning and happy Friday, ladies. Oof, Friday already. Happy May. It's May 1st, so that's exciting. So you've officially been doing online learning for a month and a half. So that's just so crazy to me. But anyway, let's just get right on in with today's lesson so that you guys can be done for the day and start your weekend, just like me. Can't wait to just do the same thing all weekend. Absolutely nothing. Okay, anyway. So our I can statement is, I can create scaled bar graphs. So this is module 6, lesson 3. So you are a third of the way done with this lesson. So I want you guys to think, how many lessons are in this module if I'm a third of the way done? Well, I guess you'll have to wait and find out. So we are building off of what you guys did yesterday with the tape diagrams, and today we're turning them into a bar graph. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so these vertical tape diagrams show the number of fish in Sal's pet shop, okay? So here's how many fish are in tank A. We don't know how many fish are in tank B yet, but don't worry, we're gonna come back to that. Here's tank C, tank D, and tank E. So what we need to find out is how many fish are in tank C, okay? So I want you to look at this. There are 5 in each section of the tank. So how many total fish are in tank C? Go ahead and figure that out. So give yourself 10 seconds to just figure that out. There are 25 fish in tank C. And I know that because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections with 5 in each section. So 5 times 5 is 25. And maybe if I didn't want to count that, I could just go 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Okay? So there are 25 fish in tank C. So if I'm telling you that there are 30 fish in tank B, how can I draw that? I want you to pause this video and I want you to draw a vertical tape diagram for tank B. There are 30 fish. 30, let me write that. 30 fish. Okay, so go ahead, pause the video and draw your vertical tape diagram for tank B. All right, so what I'm doing is I'm just drawing a bar that looks like that. And then I'm using my knowledge from fractions, our last unit. And if I know that there's 30 fish and there's 5 in each tank, I know that there are 6 boxes in this bar because 30 divided by 5 is 6. So if I need to draw 6 boxes, how many lines do I need to draw inside of that box? I need to draw 5 because that'll give me 6 sections. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'm gonna put my 5 in the middle. And there is my vertical bar graph for tank B, my vertical tape diagram. So I know that tank A has 3 sections. So if there are 5 in each section, tank A has 15. So I'm just gonna write 15. Tank B, we know has 30 because I just had to make that. Tank C, we know has 25 because that was the first thing we had to figure out. Tank D has 510, or 5 times 2. And tank E has 4 sections times 5 is 20, okay? So now what I wanna do is I wanna find out how many more fish are in tank B than in tanks A and E, or A and D combined, okay? So when I see a question that says, how many more fish are in tank B than in tanks A and D combined, the first thing I have to figure out is how many fish are in tanks A and D combined. So if I have 15 fish in tank A and 10 fish in tank B, then I need to come to my extra whiteboard. I need to do 15 plus 10, and I'm gonna get 25. So there are 25 fish in tanks A and D, okay? So if I have 30 fish in tank B and 25 fish in tanks A and D, I have to subtract those because I'm finding out how many more. So 30 minus 25 we know that off the top of our head, is 5. So there are 5 more fish in tank B than there are in tanks A and D combined, okay? And another way you could figure that out is if I were to stack A and D, that would give me 5. There are 6 in tank B. So if I were to take that one extra one, how many are in there? 5, okay? All right, so now we're gonna switch into this. So this is what we're going to have as like our bar graph template for this. We're gonna do a different one on the problem set, but this I just wanted to show you really quickly to introduce you to making a bar graph. So these down here are going to be what we label our, like this is tank A, tank B, tank C, tank D, tank E. You need to have a label down here. Usually you'd have numbers going up the side. That's called your scale, what you're counting by. So like tank A would have 15. So this would be like 0, 5, 10, 15. You got to have some sort of scale up there to show the different numbers that you're using. And we're going to get into that more with scale making, but you don't want it to be like, oh, well, I have a 5, I have a 13, I have a 6. So I'm just going to go like 5, 6, 13. Like that's not how it works. Okay. So let's just start with this for now. So we know that tank A had 15. So we had 5. I'm drawing my bar graphs in just like my vertical tape diagrams. So I had a 5 here, a 5 here, and a 5 here. So this is what my vertical tape diagram looked like, right? So for B, I had 6. I had 30. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Okay? For C, I had 25. So we have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. And you do not have to draw this out unless you've already started. But this is just for me to show so that when we get into the problem set, you're a little bit more familiar. D had 10, so we had 5, 10, and E had 20, so we had 5, 10, 15, 20. So these all look exactly like the tape diagrams that we drew before. And obviously I can't pull them up because I erased it. But we just put our vertical tape diagrams into our graphing paper. So this essentially is the beginning of a bar graph. So in a bar graph, you are going to see this, but it's not going to have the numbers. So it's going to look more like what we did over here, and it's going to look like this. So we had 5, 10, 15, 20. So I would have drawn my bar graph to there and shaded it. So that's one section. Then I had this. Oops, we just erased that. Why are you coloring that in again? I meant to color it in. So this is what a bar graph looks like. This is how we're starting our bar graph. So over here, I would have 0. I would have 5, 10, and I'm counting by 5s. I could count by 1s, but I would have to draw 30 lines. So you have to keep in mind the size of your graphing paper and also the numbers that you have inside of your graph, and then that will help you make your scale. So for this, I didn't have much room and I was counting by 5s. So I just counted by 5s going up. So I know that if I had a bar graph like this and maybe I didn't know the scale, what I would just have to do is go like this, and that's how many were in tank E, 20. It stops at the 20 line, okay? All right, so let's look at this table. So this table shows us the number of students that are in each class, and these are the different classes that there are. So if we did this at our school, it would look like Harvard, Princeton, Yale, you know, 14, 17, 19, just saying. But these are baking class, sports class, chorus class, and drama class. And then it also tells us how many students are in each class. So this is a type of chart. we are familiar with a tally chart as well, which would look like if this was 9, it would 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Remember? So we're familiar with tally charts, and then we're familiar with just straight up charts. This is what I call it, just a straight up chart. It tells you what it is and how many numbers. So then I have my bar graph. So I want to graph the different classes. So the first one has been done for us. So we have baking. So there were 9 kids in baking. Our scale counts by 2s because it's easy to count by 2s, and 2 of our numbers are already divisible by 2, 16 and 18. So we have baking, which had 9 kids. It didn't have 8 and it didn't have 10. So 9 is directly in the middle, so we just cut that right in half. And so this is 9 kids. And I like to label the tops of my bar graphs once I know, just so that I don't have to go, okay, that one a 9, that one a 10. I already know, 9, boom. Okay, so now we have to go ahead and we have to graph sports. Sports has 16 people. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look at my graph. I'm gonna find 16. I'm gonna find my sports category, and I'm gonna go from 16 over to where that category is, and I'm gonna put my top line. Okay, that's the top of my bar graph. Now all I have to do is draw it down. Okay, and then this becomes sports. So that was 16. Chorus has 13. So I'm gonna go up 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 4. Oh, I don't have 14, but I don't have 12. So I have to go directly in the middle, cut that off. And so I'm gonna put my line right in the middle. Okay, so I'm in the middle, and if I continue to draw over, I would get 13. And for drama, I have 18 kids, which right there, 18. Put my line, draw it on down. Oop, forgot to label that. 13, this is 18. And there we go. So there's our bar graph. So let's go ahead and move on to the questions. So what is the value of each square in the bar graph? We figured that out by the scale on the side. So what is our scale going up by? That'll tell you how many each block is worth. Our scale is counting by 2s. So this block is 2, this block is 2, this block is 2, this block is 2. So the value of each square in our bar graph is 2. Write a number sentence to find out how many total students are enrolled in classes. So I'm looking for the total students in each in the class total. So the total. How many are in baking, sports, chorus, and drama? So to write a number sentence for that, I just have to add all those numbers together. So I'm gonna add 9 plus 16 plus 13 plus 18 equals P. Okay? It didn't ask us to solve it, so you don't have to solve it. If you want to solve it, you can go ahead and solve it, but you don't have to. So now it says how many fewer students are in sports than in chorus and baking combined. So if we go back, and it says to write a number sentence to show our thinking. If we go back to how we did our application problem at the beginning, we're gonna know that I first have to find out how many kids are in chorus and baking combined. So in baking, I have 9 kids, and in chorus, I have 13, or I could just look here. So 9 plus 13. So if I have 9, bigger number on top, plus 13, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2. 22 kids total in chorus and baking. But now the question was asking how many fewer students are in sports than in chorus and baking combined. So then I have to go and find out how many kids are in sports. 16 kids are enrolled in sports. So I have to subtract 22 and 16. Can't take 6 away from 2. 12 minus 6 is 6. So 6 more kids. Okay? So let's try this again with a different problem. All right, so this bar graph shows the number of minutes that Charlotte read from Monday through Friday. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to figure out how much she read each day, and I'm going to put that at the end of my bar graph, just so that it's easier for me to read, and every time I need to reference this bar graph, I don't have to go, okay, so on Friday, I'm going over to my line, and I'm bringing that all the way down. This line is right in between 20 and 30. What is directly in the middle of 20 and 30? So this takes us back to our rounding when we used to have to think of what was in the middle of two numbers. So each interval here is 10. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. So if I'm halfway through 20 and 30, the halfway point between like 10 is 5. So that's actually 25. So I'm gonna go ahead and write 25 right up there, okay? Thursday, that's a nice even one. It goes right down to 50. Wednesday goes past 50, but it's not quite at 60. It's in the middle, directly in the middle. So I know that halfway between 50 and 60 is 55. And then Thursday, that's a nice even 50. And then Monday is also a nice even 50. Okay, so now we're gonna put this on a number line, okay? So what we're gonna do is we are going to label, so it says use the graph's lines as a ruler to show the intervals on the number line shown above. Then plot and label a point for each day. So what we're gonna do is we're going to make our number line have our same intervals as our bar graph. So our intervals are 10, okay? I don't know why it says to use the graph's lines as a ruler. Am I supposed to I guess that would make sense. Okay, so we'll use 0 here. We'll go 10, that's 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. And then that would be, if that's 70, that would be 80. So we have 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. So if I'm labeling my line with each day of the week, I'm just going to put a point for each day. So Friday, they read for 25. So I'm gonna go to 25. It's not at 20 and it's not at 30, so it's at 25. And I'm gonna label that F for Friday. Okay, next I have Thursday, and that's at 50. So I'm gonna put a point at 50, and that's Thursday. Wednesday is at 55. Tuesday is also at 50, so I'm gonna put another dot there and put Tuesday. And then Monday is also at 50, so I'm gonna put a dot and put Monday. Okay, so use the graph or number line to answer the following questions. I like the bar graph better than the number line just because the number line's a little tricky looking. So, on which days did Charlotte read for the same number of minutes? And how many minutes did Charlotte read on these days? So that one's actually easier to just look at the number line. So if we look at the number line, which one has the most dots? So right here, we see that 50 has 3 dots. Now I could also just look at my bar graph and say, okay, well, these 3 all stop at the same spot. So that would be Thursday, Tuesday, and Monday. All right, and how much did she read that day? She read for 50 minutes. How many more minutes did Charlotte read on Wednesday than on Friday? I want you to go ahead and figure that one out, okay? So how many more minutes did she read on Wednesday than on Friday? And then I want you to come on back and see if your answer matches mine. I got 30 minutes. So I had 55 from Wednesday. I went up and I saw that Wednesday was 55 minutes. And I subtracted the number that she read on Friday. She read for 25 minutes on Friday. So she read for 30 more minutes on Wednesday than she read on Friday. All right, so if you got that answer, awesome job. If not, I'm going to go back and try to read that bar graph again. All right, now Miss Simon made an oopsies, and that one was supposed to be on your own, and this one was supposed to be the one that we did together, but I recorded it, and by recorded, I mean I thought I pressed the button and I didn't, so I went through this whole entire sheet of paper, and I didn't even record it. So I'm just gonna quickly go ahead and explain it because it is already done, but I want you to notice it. So what I did first was I went and I labeled every single one of my graphs, of my bars, so I knew off the bat what each one was. Okay, so February, it went to the 30 mark. 46 was up here. I know that because this was counting by fives. This was our intervals, was 5. And 46 is just one little dot above 45, okay? 23, same thing. It was 2 below 25. 34, same thing, 1 below 35. And then 40 was right at the line. Okay, so it asked for how much money he saved in May. So since I had already written my numbers on top, I could easily just go May 34, and I could plug in my answer. In which months did he save less than $35? That was easy since, again, I already had my labels on them. I could just go back. I could go back and say, oh, 30 is less than 35, so February. 46 is not less than 35, so he didn't save less than $35 in March. April at 23, yep, that's less than 35. May at 34, yep, that's less than 35. And June, 40, no, that's not less than 35. And I can tell you exactly why Kyle saved $40 in June. He saved $40 because he's gonna buy me a really nice birthday gift. So thank you, Kyle. Then it's asking how much more Kyle saved in June than in April. So I took my number from June, and again, I'm sure you're sick of hearing me say this, but since I already figured out how much he saved in these months, it was easy for me to just go June 40, April 23, subtract for the $17. Okay, then this one asked how much they wanted you to fill in that Kyle saved blank. The amount that he saved in this month was half of the money he saved in this month. So I went through and I doubled all of these, which is what you can see right here. And I found that 46, which was what I doubled 23 as, was actually a different number on my bar graph. So that is half of what he saved in March. And then this one was just asking me to fill it in. And again, for the last time for this problem, since I already did that, it was nice and easy to just fill that right on in. Okay, so that is my problem, my fault, and I apologize. But you can go ahead and head on over to Zern and get that online work all done. See you later. Have a good Friday, have a good weekend, and we will see you on Monday. And then we will see you on Tuesday at the parade, but we'll definitely see you on Monday. All right, bye, girls.